Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmeritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ya Kundentu Tushara Javala, Ya Shupravastramvita, Ya Vina Varadanda Manditakara, Ya Shveta Padmasana, Ya Brahma Chuta Shankara Praprithibhir, Devye Sada Vandita, Samam Patu Saraswati Bhagavati, Buddhi Pradam Sharade, Buddhi Pradam Sharade. Okay, good. So today, or now we want to speak about how to stay motivated in our daily practice. Jagudev on Zoom, Jagudev upstairs, there's some people on the upper floor, on YouTube, whoever watches this. So as the point is how to stay motivated in our daily practice, that means that you already have a spiritual practice, right? Everybody of you. And the question obviously comes with it, why have you even learned a spiritual practice or started a spiritual practice? See, the question of why I do something is always the main question, which I always have to come back. Why did I even start to look for a spiritual solution? Why did I look for spirituality, meditation, whatever it be? So I guess that you were looking for some fulfillment. You were not satisfied with other things. You had an inner call. You met somebody and just got interested. You got intrigued by somebody's expression or shining, or whatever the reason be. And that's how you came into touch with your spiritual practice. So we speak about general practice. We don't speak necessarily about a specific spiritual practice. General spiritual practice or yoga practice, which then can include many different things. Like in Bhakti Marga, we do chanting of God's name, Atma Kriya Yoga, pujas, studying devotional arts, kirtan, and so on. So that's just what we do in Bhakti Marga, but any practice is meant in that. So why did you choose to do a spiritual practice? Why did you choose to get a spiritual practice? Anybody of you?
To live better, to change myself and to live better.
To change yourself and live better.
And of course, then to achieve the ultimate goal. And because my master said so, practice.
To achieve a higher goal. And then you have a spiritual master. He told you so. Anybody else?
Yeah, for me, similar. Like
Similar.
Yeah.
To feel better and to grow. So I would argue, like I often do, that we are looking for happiness. Everybody is looking for happiness. Doesn't matter old or young, black or white or yellow, or wherever you are coming from, whoever you are, every human being is looking for happiness. The way we look for happiness and where we find happiness that can have different imaginations. Everybody thinks to find happiness somewhere else. Somebody thinks to find it in the house on the beach. Somebody thinks to find it in the new car. Somebody finds it or thinks to find it in a relationship. Somebody thinks to find it in having children. Somebody thinks to find it wherever. So everybody thinks to find the happiness somewhere. But de facto, everybody is looking for happiness. Happiness, well-being, whatever it be. And in that seeking of happiness, we also, like, there's a few things which are just sure in life. What are the things which are sure in life? What is one thing which is,
Death.
Death. Yes, we are going to die. So the time span is limited in this body, on this world. So our pursuit of happiness in this world is limited, time-wise limited. What is this? Okay.
Не знам.
So it is a choice which you made. You're looking for happiness, and now with your spiritual practice, you found out that you're not going to find your happiness and fulfillment in outside things, in people, things, drugs, or whatever, but you got somehow the idea true happiness is an inner state. Is that kind of correct for everybody? So that's why you endeavored on the spiritual path and started to look for something else. And that's good to remember, because if you remember that, then you might get to a fresh motivation again. Because the problem is that in the beginning, we are very enthusiastic, especially when we have the first experiences and we're like, oh yeah, that's great. But then when it's not so great anymore, then our enthusiasm goes down. Now we need discipline. And so what is one of the problems is that the same way you know that you can't find happiness in the world, in the outside material world, you can't find lasting happiness. You can find happiness, but it's a limited happiness which will last for a short time. If you know that you can't find that happiness there, then you should also know that as unreal that happiness is, so is also the suffering or the misery is also unreal or limited, time limited. As you should not get attached to that happiness of the material world, so you should also not get attached to the suffering or to the idea of getting rid of difficulties. Yeah, because that's the problem. We want good times to last forever and bad times to pass as quick as possible. That's kind of a general thing. But it is an attachment. It is a desire. And like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, desires lead to frustration, anger, loss of memory, etc., etc. So if you know that happiness is not found there, and that's why you detach from that happiness, you should also know that the suffering and the difficulties are limited and they are not real. And therefore, detach from that whole thinking, because otherwise what is going to happen, you're having difficult times in the material world, you're going to endeavor on the spiritual path, and you're going to look for happiness on the spiritual path. And the moment you feel it, you're like, oh yeah, very motivated. But the moment you have the first difficulties on the spiritual path, which you're going to have for sure. Yeah, it's not going to be always amazing, great experiences. No, it's disciplining yourself, your mind. Yeah, the inner battle, Kurukshetra, yeah, the Bhagavad Gita, the inner struggle. The greatest struggle is the struggle with yourself. The greatest victory is with yourself. So the problem is, once you have the first struggle, you're like, oh, this doesn't work. let me look for something else. And like this, you shop from one thing to the next, instead of just keeping on going deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's another point about how to stay focused, how to go deeper, is by knowing that there will be difficulties. On the spiritual path, on your daily practice, there will come up difficulties. You can't run away from them because you can't run away from yourself. You know the story of the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean, where Devas and the Asuras, the gods and the Asuras, are churning the cosmic ocean to attain the Amrit, the nectar of immortality. While they do this churning, which is our spiritual practice, what is happening? What's the first thing which comes on the surface?
Poison.
The poison Kalakuta or Alahala. Once you start your spiritual practice, your poison will come out. Your negativity, physically you get purified, mentally you get purified. And that's not necessarily the most pleasant thing. So you should be aware of those things, because if you're not, then you probably will lose your motivation and you will also stop practicing. So the first thing is know about your choice and know what that choice brings along. The choice is you want to become free, you want to attain true happiness, lasting happiness, attain the lotus feet of God, divine love. And you know, in that process, you will also have to face hardships. That's just how it is. Like, there's no simple solution. There is a simple solution, but still, it will request you need to be the warrior. You need to find the Arjuna within. You need to find this warrior within, which keeps on going and fighting. So if you know those things, you know that life is a very great opportunity to actually find this fulfillment. What is the purpose of life? Isn't the purpose of life to attain this happiness? Isn't the purpose of life to realize your eternal relationship with God? What is the purpose of life? That is a question you should ask yourself. Like, you made a choice, but why did you make that choice? How long have you... What's the purpose of life? Look around you. There's so many people who have so many ideas what the purpose of life is. And it changes all the time. But what is the purpose of life? The purpose of life. The one purpose of life. Is there one? Is there one purpose of life? Or is everybody having an individual purpose of life? If you look in nature, if a tree falls down in nature, in the forest, if it's connected a little bit to its roots, it will put up another branch. And where will that branch go? Up towards the light, right? If you have some flowers on the balcony, which are in the shadow, you will see they're going to do what? They're going to stretch out, because where they want to go? Towards the light. It almost seems like life is striving towards the light. This life which is inside there is striving towards the light. Who am I? If I am life itself, if I am this divine Atman, what is the purpose? The purpose is to attain my maker, attain God, be with him, be in this eternal relationship, realize the truth, the lasting truth, not the limited thing. So everything else which happens, your work, your family, your circumstances, they're all just circumstances which can help you actually to evolve, develop, and remove layer by layer by layer. And that's what you do life after life after life. That's good to know. That's why reading the Bhagavad Gita is very helpful, because it gives you the right knowledge about what's the purpose of lives. And that is where your motivation of spiritual practice again can come from. Because if you know your life is for that purpose, then you will probably be motivated to do something about it. So that is written in every scriptures, even like in the Kenopanishad is saying, a human being, the human birth is a rare opportunity. If you do not realize, if you do not utilize it to achieve your goal, you will surely get ruined. So if you don't take the opportunity of this human life to get realized, you will be ruined. Further, it says in the Kathopanishad, if you do not strive for Brahman realization, for God realization in this life, you will continue to rotate in the 8.4 million species of life for many births. 8.4 million different species of life till you attain a human body which has the capacity to actually get to the final goal of realizing who you truly are and your eternal love relationship with God. That is what we as human beings have the opportunity. That's why human life is so important. So imagine 8.4 million lifetimes in different species till you attain a human body, and then thousands and hundreds of thousands of lifetimes in a human body till you develop a longing for God, till this clarity that you can't find happiness outside there, that you are ready to detach, etc., starts to develop. Just try to think like, how old are you and how long does your life sometimes feel? It feels like an eternity, just this one lifetime. You might be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, but that is just it's not even a moment of your journey, which we have in eternity. It's not even a moment. And now you have come to the point where this has awakened. And that is a very, very great gift. And we shouldn't take it loosely. Like my guru always says, there's 3 gifts in life. The first gift is which one? Huh? Life itself. That you get a human incarnation, it is the first grace which you can have. To get a human incarnation is amazing, not because we humans are so great, because we humans are not great in the sense of being physically incarnated, yeah? Because on a physical level, just look around. I think human beings are quite the definition of a virus, right? Like we procreate and destroy. If it would be just ego. But on a soul level, if we see it on a spiritual level, as a human being, you have the potential to actually realize your true identity and your relationship with God. Every yoga science speaks about that. So that's why human birth is so important. The second grace is? The first is to get the human body. The second one?
I don't know, maybe to make your sadhana.
What's the third one?
Start spiritual path.
Exactly. The second one is that this longing awakens. Look around in the world. How many people are interested in true spirituality? There's people who are religious, there's good people and less good people, but how many people are really interested to grow spiritually? How many people are really taking on this knowledge of you are the eternal Atman, there is a purpose of life, you should work on that, you should take this opportunity of life for that? How many people? Very, very few, no? The Bhagavad Gita says, Manushyanam Sahasrashu, amongst thousands of people, there's maybe one who seeks perfection. And amongst them, there's again, only one who knows me. And amongst them, there's maybe one who knows me in truth. So that we have this longing, that you have even sometimes had this moment of like, oh, there must be more, or you endeavored on the spiritual path. That is a great gift. If you have a little bit of devotion, if you have a little bit of seeking, you should not take it for granted. It is like a little plant which you need to be taking care, which need to be taken care, nourished, protected. If you plant in nature a small plant, you put a fence around, no? You take care of it, so that the big elephant of pride and ego and whatever doesn't trample over it, or the deers come and eat everything up before it can even flourish. The same thing is with this inner plant. We have to nourish it, take care of it. How we do that, how we put the fertilizer? Again, our spiritual practice. So firstly is the choice which we made. We know what we are looking for. We know that we have a great opportunity. And now we are taking this opportunity, and now we have to take care of it. All of those, the choice and the opportunity, is something which should motivate us to actually do our spiritual practice, isn't it? So here in this part, he speaks about 8.4 million species and thousands of lifetimes. That speaks about time. And what is the international excuse for not doing your spiritual practice? You're confirming the case. Anywhere you go, the point for not doing a spiritual, but the excuse number one is, I don't have time. Well, the question is, do you have time or you do not have time? Because time is something you have to make. It is about priorities, no? There is the story Shkusi sometimes tells for the person who always said like, I don't have time because of my family, because of job, because of this, because of this, because of this. And suddenly that person was diagnosed with cancer. And now suddenly that person went for some analysis to the hospital, and from therapy to the hospital, and some cures in this place and that place. Suddenly there was time. Before there was no time, suddenly there was time. Why was suddenly time? The priority has changed. It is not anymore my job, more money, more this, more that. No, the priority is now, I want to live. I want to survive. I want to get healthy. And therefore, I make time for it. Well, that is a choice. Again, it is a choice. If I know that this spirituality which I have is a gift, which is a rare gift, which is a very precious gift, that this lifetime is a chance to grow and to actually develop more, and my time is limited, I shouldn't waste my time. I should make my priorities right. Because you have come with empty hands and you will go with empty hands. In the Bible it is said you shouldn't make your treasures on this earth where thieves can easily steal it, but you should make them in heaven where they please the Heavenly Father, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says similar things. Anything you do on this path of yoga, any practice you do to develop yourself, to grow, is be something which you have, which will go into your account. You can't lose. Because everything what you do in this life, in past lives and in future lives, is only to get closer to God. That's the whole purpose of it. You do it more consciously or less consciously. But everything what you do to grow spiritually will go into your spiritual account. If you don't manage in this life, you will come back according to your karmas, according to your punya, again in a circumstance which will now help you to grow from where you have started, from where you have stopped. That's why you have incarnated, I have incarnated, we all have incarnated in a certain life circumstance, which allows us to actually grow again further. But it is a choice. We can also just throw this opportunity away, which many times we tend to do, and get lost in other things. So we have to make a conscious effort of reminding ourselves how precious the time is and what is the priority in our time. So first is the choice, the knowledge about this great opportunity which we have, the opportunity itself, that life, what is the meaning of life itself, and the time. Thirdly is the time. What do I do with my time? How do I use my time? Because that's the most common excuse is time. And then once you have you have sorted that out, then what is it what you need? Who has tried to meditate? I think everybody of you has tried to meditate or does some meditation. How is it when you meditate? You sit down and you go in deep samadhi, or you think about everything, but not about the object of your meditation. Your children, your work, your problems, the money, this, that, oh, my legs are paining, oh, when is it finished? How long have I meditated now? Which round am I? Which chakra am I? Which one is it? Samadhi or number two? Number two more. Yeah, so it's this mind is like a wild monkey jumping from one tree to the other. It's constantly active. That's why the definition of yoga in the Patanjali Sutras is Yoga Chitti Vritta Nirodha. Yoga means actually the calming of these constant waves of the mind. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, verse 34, Arjuna, which is everybody of us, says, well, I understand that. I understand that a controlled mind is my best friend, that an uncontrolled mind is my worst enemy. We know that. We know that if we have our mind under control, tamed, then we're in a good space. And if not, then life can be very difficult. But then Arjuna says, but it is very difficult to tame this mind. It is as difficult as to control the wind. As difficult to control. Who can control the wind? The airbender? Yeah. And Krishna says, yes, you're right. It is very difficult to control the mind, but there is a way how you control the mind. What is the way? In chapter 6, verse 35 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says how you can control the mind. Japam. Yes, that is a practice, but he says something very clearly. How you can control this monkey mind, which is so difficult to control. Surrender, focus. All of it is true, but he says something very clear. He says, Abhyasana and Vairagya, meaning constant practice and detachment. You can control this mind if you have constant practice and detachment. Then you will be able to control your mind. So constant practice, another word for constant practice, what would that be? Huh?
Japam.
Yes, japam is a constant practice, a repetition, but a word which we don't like so much. Yes, discipline. A word which we don't like so much, discipline. It came out straightforward, yeah? How to be motivated in our spiritual practice? Firstly, you made a choice. You know that there is no fulfillment in this world. If you only look for happiness in the outside world, you know that you won't find it there lastingly. That's why you have to look inside for it. You got this life for that sole purpose. You have given a time to actually do so. For that, you have to learn to focus your mind on those things, on those concepts, to control your mind, to calm your mind. How you do that? Through constant practice and detachment. Constant practice means discipline. Discipline, which, yeah, you have confirmed it. You didn't know which word I meant. I said the word which you don't like, discipline. So in Bhakti Marga, for example, we practice Atma Kriya Yoga. Yeah, Atma Kriya Yoga, which is one of the most powerful meditation techniques, which have only one purpose: to lead us to God realization, to awaken this love for God. Every practice is linked to one form of bhakti and awakens more and more love for God. And therefore, Paramahamsa Vishwananda always says, we should do Atma Kriya Yoga with love. We should do it with love. So many people say, well, sometimes I'm not feeling the love, so I better don't do it. Because I should do it with love. And if I just discipline myself, then I'm there and I'm just doing mechanically my practice. That's not how I should do it. I should do it with love. So I wait till I feel the love and then I do it. What do you think about that? It's good. It's a good way of doing it. So the question for me always was like, how does it work between discipline and doing it with love? And I had many discussions with my brothers also about this theme. And one day I was in Sicily with Paramahamsa Vishwananda, and there was a student of mine, and he is actually somebody who did a certain meditation practice for more than 20 years. Every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, he got up and at least 1 hour he was meditating, that meditation practice. Then he met Guruji, then he learned Atma Kriya Yoga. But obviously having that habit of doing that auto meditation technique, he confessed while we were on this trip in Sicily, I have difficulties to do Atma Kriya Yoga. I always fall back to my old practice. What should I do? What do you recommend? And as Guruji was there, I thought, let me ask Guruji. So Guruji, I asked him, and Paramahamsa Vishwananda said, just tell him to do one round of the principal practice of the main Kriya. And I'm like, what? Really? Like that goes against everything I was thinking, because that has nothing to do with discipline. I thought discipline is very important. And now you're saying, just do one round of main Kriya and enjoy it. Do it with love, basically. Okay. So is that how it should be done? So between discipline and doing it with love, you would say, do it with love. Discipline is not so important. And they said, no, that's not what I'm saying. The point is, this person does since more than 20 years, every day at 5 o'clock meditation. Meaning he has discipline. He only needs to find the joy into it. So the answer is that, yes, you should enjoy your practice, but you will find joy in your practice only if you have discipline. If you have constant practice, if you keep going, if you make it a habit, consistency is the main thing. Like you have to grind it in. We are, to some extent, animals of habits. Good habits, bad habits. Yeah, we bring both with us. Samskaras, which you took from your past life, some good ones. That's why you might be inclined to do meditation. That's why you might be inclined to chant God's name. That's why you might be inclined to do puja. But you have to practice. It has to become a habit. It has to become something like your second nature. It's a programming yourself. Like in the image on a well, like in India, like the old wells where there's like the stone the stone well, and then there's a rope, which is basically grass, made out of grass, no? Like just a rope. A rope made out of grass and a stone well. But with time, by pulling out the water constantly, the grass rope carves itself into the stone. Or the constant drop of water, the Great Canyon. The water very softly but consistently carves beautiful shape. Our practice is like that. Constantly, we practice, constantly. We tame the mind. The mind goes off and we bring it back. And it goes off and we bring it back. It's like bodybuilding. It's like bodybuilding. You can't run a marathon if you don't do training. You have to make yourself ready for it. That is the work we have to do. That's the training we have to do. So constant practice and detachment. Well, detachment has many levels, but mainly the main level is detaching about the wrong identification. So we have the point of you choose. It's your choice. You should remember what choice you made. What is the purpose of life? The purpose of life is to grow spiritually, of life, not of this lifetime, of life, of every lifetime it is that. And the spiritual practice is just designed for that. You have given a certain time for it. You should use the time in a proper way to attain that. For that, you have to be consistent, disciplined, and that all of this will give you more and more meditation for your daily practice. So motivation has two sides. There's an outside motivation and there's an inside motivation. So what we just now do is maybe an outside motivation. I'm trying to motivate you. You should do your spiritual practice. I'm trying to give you reasons why you should do your spiritual practice. The guru comes and repeatedly motivates us, say, don't waste your time. It's going to be this. Do your spiritual practice. Either with the candy, even with the carrot, you're going to have the ultimate, or with the warning, you're going to burn in hell. If you don't, you're going to suffer, or you're going to be happy. Like different kinds of motivations. Motivation with the making you afraid about what would be if I don't, or by proposing what could be. That's an outside motivation. And it's okay to have that outside motivation. But then there is the inside motivation. The inside motivation is something where you yourself motivate yourself. Because you know it is your life, it is your choice. You see, there's the story of, the story of two brothers which have grown up and they're completely different. Like one has ended up in prison. It's like a proper criminal. And the other one is a very successful person. So they interviewed both of them and they asked them what happened with them. So the first one said that the criminal said like, well, my father, he was a criminal. He was a drunkard. He beat up my mother. He was coming back home and beat us up. And he was basically gambling, losing all the money, etc., etc., etc. What do you expect from me? That's all I have seen and all I have learned. Understandable. They asked the other brother why he has become so successful. Successful in his business, having a good relationship, nice family, everything running well. He said, well, what do you expect? My father was a gambler. He was a drunkard. He came home, beat up my mama. He beat up us. He was playing all the money, lost everything. We were suffering terribly. I was really sure that's not how I want to live. I got motivated to change something. Same circumstances, different outcome, different motivation. So the motivation is your choice. It can be an outside motivation, like the boss comes and says like, oh, you're doing a great job. I give you extra money if you keep on the good work. Or your motivation is Guruji comes and taps you on your shoulder and says, you are such a great yogi. Keep on doing the good meditation. You will be the best of all my devotees. And you're like, that motivates me a lot to do my spiritual practice, which is obviously not going to happen. So either you're waiting for this outside motivation, or you find the inner motivation, which is obviously a more safe one, because you're not waiting for somebody to motivate you. You motivate yourself. And that is something which you should do constantly. Obviously, we can help each other amongst devotees, amongst seekers, through satsang, through the association of like-minded people, of seekers of the truth. We inspire each other. We grow through listening to the satsang of Guruji, through the community. We are growing through the practice together. We can motivate each other. All of this is good. And on top of that, everybody should do their best to motivate themselves by firstly remembering, why did I even start? Where did it all start? Why did I start? What I'm looking for? What is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? My time, which is quite limited, today, now can be your last moment. What are you going to do with your last moments? You're going to say, oh, maybe we do tomorrow our practice, but tomorrow might not be. Unless you're a prophet and you know what's going to be tomorrow, you better do it now. Time is limited. And then do it consistently. Make it a habit. Make it a habit. If you can't do a certain amount, do less. Do a few minutes every day. Do 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. Do something which is in your capacity, but do something. That's why in Bhakti Marga, Paramahamsa Vishwananda has given so many tools, like Mantra Project, just the chanting of God's name, where step by step you're built up, which everybody can practice, free of cost. You are being followed, motivated, and step by step you build up in 40 days the habit of doing chanting of God's name. Om chanting, where tons of groups come together all over the world to chant, making healing circles for Om chanting. Again, you're motivated by people. Atma Kriya Yoga, like I said, the crown jewel, which is there to get you to God realization, which is filled with the grace of the Master, which is filled with the grace of the Divine Mother. All of those practices and many more Guruji gives, besides his presence, the darshan he gives, the sanghas which are there. So how can I stay motivated in my day-to-day life? Well, know the need and then choose properly. And don't wait for others to motivate you. Don't wait till Dad knocks at your door that you're going to do it, because who knows, if you don't manage in this round, in this lifetime, who knows what next lifetime brings. You probably, maybe you're going to have more time, but maybe you have no time. Yeah? Now we have good opportunity. You have a roof over your head, you have food. You have quite a simple life where you can actually also spare a little bit, a few percentage for your soul. And like your body, you feed every day, no? Every day you eat Nobody needs to tell you you need to go to eat. If you don't eat one day because you were too busy, then you will eat something in between just quickly. Or the latest, the next day you're going to eat. It's not that you go weeks and weeks without food because you want to eat. Because this body needs to be fed. But you are not just this body. The same way like your body wants to be fed, also your soul needs to be fed. Your spirit needs to be fed. If you don't eat for weeks and weeks and you go to a doctor half dead and say, I feel very weak, I feel very bad, what should I do? He'll probably tell you, you should eat some food. Right? If you're depressed and feeling bad about everything in life, because you don't feed your spirit with the right nourishment, if you go to the doctor, he will probably tell you, you should eat. And what is the main food he will give you? The most easiest, he will tell you, remember God. Smaranam, smaranam, smaranam. Chant God's name, contemplate on his glory, on his sweetness, on his stories, read the life of saints, be inspired, practice Kriya Yoga, do puja, whatever it is, but the main thing, remember him. The easiest way is chant his name. If you want more, if you want to go deeper, there is plenty, but do at least one thing, do it consistently, constantly, with dedication as much as you can. Shanti, 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 Shri Guru Pyo Namaha, Hari Om, Satgurudeva Swami Mahaprabhu ki Jai.